Wait a minute. Here comes the IT lady. Angela, we ready?
Justin, mic check?
Test.
Not responding.
Call the meeting to order then, if we're ready. And,
All right.
we'll have a roll call first.
Malinowski,
Here.
Barron,
Here.
Mackey,
Here.
Recording in
Present.
progress.
Next, approval of the minutes for December 14th, 2021 on pages 7 and 8.
move to approve.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. We'll call for the vote, please.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
Malinowski.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next, adoption of the agenda.
So
Okay.
moved.
Second?
Okay, been moved in second. Any additions, deletions, or changes? Ms. Carrillo?
No,
No.
sir.
No discussion? Hearing none. Take the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Number 4, election of the chair. We'll open the floor for nominations.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a nomination.
Okay, go ahead, Ms.
Thank you. I'd like to nominate Gretchen Barron.
I'll second that for her, then, Ms. Barron, you willing to serve in that position?
Yes, sir. Right alongside of you.
All right. Any other nominations? Okay, I'll just, technically, we're supposed to make a motion to open nominations, motion to close nominations, so make a motion to close the nominations. All in favor of closing the nominations? Aye. It's unanimous. Now we'll take the vote. All in favor of electing Ms. Barron as chair? We take the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes?
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We're now officially the chair. Congratulations. Take over.
Thank you, Mr. Former Chair. I appreciate you, and I'm excited to be able to serve in this capacity and filling some big shoes here. As we move forward with our agenda, the next item on our agenda is the notification of vacancies. And so we have them listed here. Ms. Carrillo, you want to give us a rundown of our vacancies as they are, and then also addressing, I guess we have another round of interviews that we want to start.
Correct. Yes, Chairman, we will have another round going on. We have the accommodation tax has 7 vacancies. Airport Commission has 2 vacancies. The Board of Assessments has 1 vacancy. The Board of Zoning Appeals has 2 vacancies. The Building Codes Board has 9 vacancies. Business Service Center has 3 vacancies. The Central Midlands Council of Governments has 1 vacancy. Community Relations Council has 1 vacancy. Employee Grievance Committee has 2 vacancies. Hospitality Tax has 3 vacancies. Internal Audit Committee has 2 vacancies. Lexington Richland Alcohol and Drug Abuse Council has 2 vacancies. The Music Festival has 1 vacancy. Planning Commission has 3 vacancies. Richland Memorial Hospital Board of Trustees has 4 vacancies. Township Auditorium has 2 vacancies. Transportation Penny Advisory Committee has 5 vacancies.
So given those vacancies, we are scheduled to begin interviews at our next meeting.
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Ms. Mackey?
Thank you. We had previously approved a schedule of when these would be posted. Can you just confirm that date of when these will be posted and then the expiration date, or, I'm sorry, the cutoff date of when we will stop receiving applications for these vacancies that are listed currently?
There were some deadlines that were scheduled, as you mentioned, and they have the February 15 was a deadline to submit the listing for Rules Committee. The next one will be May 17. The second one will be July 19 and October 18. Those are the Rules Committee. The ones for the publications are going to run, the one for February the 15 publications will run on the 20th, and the application deadline will be March the 18th. For May, they will have to submit their listings by by May the 17th. The publication will run on May the 22nd, and the deadline will be June 3rd. For the following in July, it will be July 19. The publication of the ad will run on July the 24th, and the application deadline will be August the 19th. The last one will run on October the 18th. The publication will run on October 23rd, and the applications will be, the deadline of the applications will be November the 18th. Those will be the last one for 2022.
Okay, Madam Chair? And just to confirm, and this is just for this first one in February, so you have February 15th is when we plan to open this, meaning that's when it will be available on the website for folks to either download or submit, and then the ad itself will run February 20th with a deadline of March 18th.
Correct.
And that is based on the notification of vacancies that are currently in this agenda.
Correct.
Thank you.
And so to follow up with that, the interviews that our preference was, when we left, we were still interviewing people from the past. So now we are going to add on some additional ones in the March timeframe.
Correct.
And how many applications or interviews do we currently have pending that we'll need to slate for our next meeting?
I would have to check on all of the applications to be able to give you an update on that.
So it's possible that we could probably have several meetings that we're looking to.
Yes.
Okay. Anything further for item number 5?
I would request, I guess, at the next meeting, if we could include, and I'm not sure exactly what it was named it for, so I apologize, but it was a previous spreadsheet that we had that it kind of listed out the number of applicants that maybe we had on file already.
Mackie, that's an excellent point, because that does help us keep track internally as well. Anything further for item number 5? Given that, let's move to item number 6, where a discussion of our boards, commissions, and committee descriptions. I know in the past meetings.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
are we gonna take a vote on whether to move forward with the advertising of these?
Thank you. So I will accept a motion at this time to advertise for the items listed in item number 5.
I make a motion to have these advertised.
Second?
Further discussion? Ms. Carrillo, if you'll call for the vote.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes?
motion passes.
So item number 6, where we're looking at the descriptions of all of our boards, commissions, and committees. I know in the past we spent a lot of time going through them. Thank you so much to the clerk's office for providing us this information with the changes in red. That was very helpful. And I don't want us to belabor the hour. If I did not have any, besides some scrivener errors and things of that nature. I had a couple suggestions, but other than that, is there any major concerns that we need to address? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To me, a major concern is that the majority of these boards, committees, and commissions, we state at the end that an individual may be eligible for reappointment after 1 day of non-service. Just seems to me that's not the way you conduct business. That somebody comes off, sits there for 1 day, and next jumps right back in. I believe this could create a monopoly on that particular position. I think like some of the others I've seen in here, maybe we don't need exactly 2 years or 3 years, but they should be off of that particular committee for a year anyway, to give somebody the opportunity to also serve. And then if they're still interested, they could reapply and come back in. That's my biggest concern with the majority of these, that only being off for 1 day.
Is that something that's standard as a part of our rules, or
I believe it's in the ordinance. I don't know when when that ordinance was passed, and I know it came up years ago for the Planning Commission, is when people wanted to continue to serve and their term was up. They wound up saying, okay, well, you come off for 1 day, you can go back on. And I don't know if that leached over into the rest of them or not at that time. Do we have a date when that ordinance came about?
We don't have a date at this time, but we will be able to follow up on your request afterwards. Yeah.
If my colleagues are so inclined, I'd like to hold this and find out if we can get any additional information as to when that was enacted and possibly some background as to why. Personally, I'd like to see that changed for a lengthier period of time to be off a committee.
Well, I guess, so at this point, we just approved vacancies. So vacancies that are listed, what are you recommending that they publish then for the description?
You mean the description for these items here?
Yeah.
The bulk of every one of these is in red, which means it's new language added. So I would recommend that we just publish whatever the old language was, or publish all this language, but exclude that part, that new part.
I would agree with.
And if I may, Madam Chair, I don't have much more, but there were some couple of these boards, committees, and commissions that we still didn't have dates of when they meet or times or locations, and I thought we needed to. Example, page 19 of our agenda, Historic Columbia Foundation. Meetings are held the fourth, this is going down to the third paragraph. Meetings are held the fourth Monday every other month beginning in January. Gives a time. Members are required to attend these other items, board orientation and board retreat, and the annual meeting. But nowhere does it say where they meet at that fourth Monday of the month. So that's one of the items I noticed was missing. If you want, there's a couple others I could mention, or I could just provide them to the clerk so as not to take up the time here.
I think that if you'll provide that to the clerk's office, because one of the things that we did mention when we spent a lot of time going over this is to have consistency for each board and commission. So if there are items that are missing that if we can't get them from the organization, but I would like to think that we would do our very best to make sure that we make a contact, because these are boards and commissions that we appoint, and when they come into us, not only do we want to give them as much information during the interview process, but prior to them having an idea. You know, if they live in Lower Richland and they have to meet in Blythewood, they may not want to be on that committee or that board. So if y'all would please make the adjustments, and keeping in mind exactly what my colleague said, that when advertising for these these positions, that we don't include that verbiage about the 1 day, because I too would like to see some change there. We're just gonna keep recycling people.
Right. And I was coming up with those because of the consistency my colleague, Miss Mackey, kept preaching about. On page 21, if I may, there was one other item that I'm not so sure the way it's worded is proper. That's the Conservation Commission. The second paragraph, when you start in the second line and it says the term of the member of the commission shall be conterminous with the term of the appointing council member. That's fine. But then it goes on to say, however, if a vacancy shall occur on council, the member of the commission appointed by the vacating council member shall complete his or her term. We just said the term is the same as the council members. There is no other term, so I think that line needs to be eliminated, and we end with the term is conterminous with the terms of the appointing council member. When the council member leaves, the new council member has the opportunity to appoint someone else or retain the person.
Yeah, so to that point, I would just ask that, did we receive, that language came from the commission? So if we're taking it out, then we need to let them know that this is something that, you know, they don't have that, that right to do. And I think it's very important that we communicate that with them. Yeah, and I'll just leave it right there.
Madam Chair, I guess confirm, because it is the Conservation Commission, I just want to confirm that there's not an ordinance or language that states that first, to make sure that we're not.
If there is, we probably need to send that to the Ordinance Review Committee. Then.
Correct, that's what I was going to state. So if it is in the ordinance, I would recommend we look at that language. Okay.
We will look into that, yeah.
Further, Mr. Malinowski?
Yeah, it was on page 22 and 23, the Midlands Regional Convention Center. It says currently suspended. So if that in fact is the case, shouldn't this be moved over and placed on the not active list that we have behind all this?
I would agree, but I'm looking, is this, I just had a note. It looks like, I didn't know if this was, I had a note about the convention center, the existing convention center that we serve as liaisons. Is that the same, that's the same one? I don't think, well, I can look right
here. If
here.
it's currently suspended, then does that mean there are no meetings taking place?
But that's my point. It's not suspended.
Oh.
Yeah, if it's the same one, the convention center?
Yes, I think we do need to look into it, and it's not suspended, but I'm not sure about our Richland County appointing to their board, if that is still an agreement that is in place. So the board still needs, I'm not sure if we are appointing to their board anymore.
So here's another item on for the clerk's office if you can find out for us if we are appointing, because I don't think we've had an interview for them, and if we were and we currently are not, then why?
Continuing, Madam Chair, page 26, at the bottom, the Richland County/City of Columbia Animal Care Advisory Committee. It says no term limits have been established. And I'm wondering why. This leaves the people there forever. And I've had a few people contact me asking how they could get onto this particular committee. And I said, well, right now, I don't believe there's any vacancies, and I guess not if there's no term limits. I think we need to get some discussion with the, I guess it'd be Ms. Haynes, and ask her why we don't have a term established and what she would recommend. And the other part of the same item, down in the last paragraph, the first sentence, the committee will meet once a year in March. And then there's the double asterisks, and it says they haven't met since April of 2018. Well, they're supposed to meet once a year. They're kind of violating their own requirement here, and I think they need to meet, even if it's to say we don't have anything to discuss. So those are two items for that committee that I had comments on. And on the next page, page 27, the Employee Grievance Committee, the second paragraph where it says what the committee consists of, 7 members appointed for 3-year terms. The members must be Richland County employees, that's understood. But then it says with at least 4 of the members working for department heads who report directly to the county administrator. Well, that's a majority of the people on this committee. And that doesn't sound to me like the majority really would create a potential impartial jury or review board if 4 of them are working for the main man. So I'm wondering why we have it this way. And I would think that if you've got a department head, they don't report directly to the county administrator. I don't see the problem there. Maybe there's something in that ordinance if there is an ordinance, but I'd like that looked into also. And then, well, that's it for that one. And on page 20, Internal Audit Committee, that's an item that's been discussed for years. This council approved the hiring of an internal audit individual, provided what the qualifications were, yet that person has never been hired. This is my 16th year. We've never had an internal auditor, to my knowledge, and I think it's very important that we do this, to have an internal auditor look at our departments and find out financially if we're doing what we should be doing or not. I think that should be a priority of this council, is to get that position filled and begin to do what an internal auditor should do, and that's making sure that financially our departments are doing what they should be doing. And I think it's, and my last question here would be on page 32 for the CMRTA board. In the very top portion where we've added language that the primary purpose is to promote transportation opportunities for all citizens. Again, I'd like to see that word changed to residents, because you don't have to be a citizen to ride, within Richland County and a limited service area in Lexington County. Once upon a time, we were running I thought they were running a commuter bus up to Newberry. And if they still are, then we need to, and if they're not, okay, but if they still are, we need to find out, because we need to say in Newberry County. I'm done, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malinowski. Ms. Mackey, did you have anything?
I did.
Okay.
We're listing county liaisons, so I'm sure we'll be updating those as they change. And then we had previously also discussed about reaching out to the representatives for each of these to get their attendance records. We wanted to track folks and their attendance and had they been attending the meetings and looking at that. Because I feel like listing the descriptions, we're providing when they're meeting, how often they're meeting, and so we should be following the attendance. I think we discussed on a quarterly basis, the liaison providing a report to us so that we can confirm the. That was all I had, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. And so one resounding comment that came from just reviewing these the descriptions is that it would be helpful if, when we are revising these, if you all could just take a look at the ordinances and have them side by side, the description as well as the ordinance, so that any language that should not be there that's aligned with the ordinance, we can make sure that the two are working together. But more importantly, as Mr. Malinowski brought out today, there may be some out of date ordinances that we have that we need to look at amending and making some modifications so that we can have consistency from the ordinances to the actual descriptions, because what we don't want is organizations twisting the ordinance that meets their personal needs versus what we have said that we want to do as a council. So with that, the clerk's office is going to make some additional revisions for us to review at our next meeting. Anything further on item number, I'm sorry, we did. Yes, so we looked at item 6A and B.
No, just 6A.
6A? 6A.
That was all.
Okay,
6A.
so 6B is review of boards, commissions that are not active, currently not active.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Thank you. I believe this is something we discussed, I guess, a few meetings ago. Just when we were talking about committees, I went and looked at our ordinances and saw that we had several of these committees that we didn't reference or weren't active, or I think what Ms. Barron said, we maybe didn't have matching language when we spoke about them. And so having this, I've looked at it, it's good. I really would like some feedback, from the clerk's office as well as our attorney in reviewing these, where these ordinances stand. Some of these I feel may not apply anymore, right? I don't know, depending on what has happened over the course of county and actions that have taken place, if some of these are even needed, like the Transportation Study Commission. Do we even need those things? And then appointment of county athletic commission. So some of the stuff, I would like some feedback from staff about these ordinances and how we can go about cleaning up some of this before we even look at if it's relevant to make these active.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. Ms. Malinowski?
Thank you, Ms. Maggie. Those were some of my concerns also. The one item that I did start off with my notes mentioning is that we probably need to find out the dates when these were all initially created to make sure how they were created, and there's not some state law that mandates us to keep them or something else. And if I may go on, I'd say that in looking at this, it seems that some of these groups already are being taken care of by things that we currently have, as you said, and that we're funding. And I think we need to get in contact with some of our directors or department heads, like on page 34, letter E, the Economic Development Commission. I'd recommend we talk with Director Rubel on that and see what he has to say. The Youth Commission, I've seen lots of things. We here in the county created a couple of different youth matters, thanks to Councilwoman McBride, I believe. Transportation study, as you say, I guess that would go to Director Maloney. County Athletic Commission, I don't know if we check with Recreation Commission to find out anything about that. Once we find out whatever the ordinance said. When you look at on page 39, the Disabilities and Special Needs Boards, when you go down to number 3, the membership, second line, the board shall be appointed by the governor upon recommendation of the majority of the county legislative delegation. That doesn't sound like we even have anything to do with that as far as appointed. Maybe we're supposed to interview them and give recommendations to the legislators. I don't know. The next, page 41, letter P, the Midlands Commission on Homelessness. It says it shall be appointed by the civic and business community. And then when it tells you what the makeup is. 3 members from the mayor and city council, and 4 appointed by the county council of Richland County. I think we need to check with the city and find out, is this something that they still have active? Has this been abolished? But again, it says it's appointed by civic and business community. So I don't know that we have any input there other than to possibly respond to a tap on the shoulder. Hey, would you 4 like to work here with us? I don't know who you go to in the business community to see if this is still a viable group. And on the bond review committee, page 42, letter R, we used to have a bond attorney. I thought we now have a consultant that keeps giving us information on this bond stuff. So we need to check either with, I guess, Jeff Rubel or our finance people, probably the finance people, and see what they have to say as far as what we're doing now. Complete streets on page 44, letter S. I think info from Director Mike Maloney on that one. And I've just got a couple other comments that I'd ask Director Maloney if he were the one to be reviewing it. But that's all for me on that section. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Malinowski. I just feel like, I have this note throughout this entire packet, is ordinances. At the end of the day, that's what it sounds like it's time for us to review some, and to not just as it relates to these committees and boards, but probably more importantly, as we function. Many of these groups, we have an economic development department now. So for instance, that was the very first one on the list. So do we still need that committee for its functionalities? But so clerk's office, one last time for the rodeo. It's the ordinances, and it may be even helpful for my colleagues and myself to see that and to have those to go to work hand in hand, so that we can refer to them when we're reviewing the descriptions as well as the inactive list. So if you could, in some manner, be able to give us the description for, Community Relations Council. Is there an ordinance that goes along with it? If so, reference that so that we can see, okay, we need to go to ordinance, 67B, whatever, however that works, so we can make sense out of it. And our last order of business is adjournment. Y'all want to stay?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yes?
Malinowski?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.